Have you ever wondered if one of the most famous passages in the Bible has been misunderstood for centuries? Psalm 23 is recited at funerals, whispered in hospital rooms, printed on plaques, and sung in hymns. It feels comforting, familiar, almost too familiar. But what if I told you that Psalm 23 is not a gentle lullaby? It's a bold declaration of life, victory, and courage. What if this psalm has been stripped of its deeper power and its forgotten truths are waiting to be rediscovered? Once you hear it in its original light, you will never see it the same way again. When David wrote these words, he wasn't sitting in a palace. He wasn't surrounded by luxury or calm. He was a shepherd boy turned warrior, a man who had fought lions and giants, who had been betrayed, hunted, and forced to live in caves. Psalm 23 wasn't written by a man resting in comfort. It was spoken by someone who had looked death in the eyes and still declared, "The Lord is my shepherd." That context changes everything. David doesn't begin by talking about his fear, his enemies, or his pain. He begins with identity. He says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He doesn't say, "I hope the Lord will take care of me." He says the Lord is present, personal, certain. And when David calls God his shepherd, he isn't picturing a soft caretaker. Shepherds in his day were rugged protectors who carried rods to crush wolves and staffs to pull sheep back from cliffs. They risked their lives for the flock. David is saying, "God is my protector, my provider, my defender, and because of him, I lack nothing." This is not weak faith, it's radical confidence. He goes on, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters." Sheep only lie down when they feel completely safe. They are nervous creatures, constantly on edge, unable to rest unless fear, hunger, and danger are removed. So when David says God makes him lie down, he is declaring that God creates rest even in the middle of chaos. Green pastures represent abundance in barren seasons. Still waters represent peace in the middle of storms. This is more than a pretty picture. It is a miracle. It is the promise of divine rest when everything in the world says you should be panicking. And then comes the verse we've heard 1,000 times. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." This is often read at funerals, but it's not about dying. It's about living without fear. David doesn't say, "If I walk through the valley," he says, "Even though I walk through it." The valley is not optional. Every life will face darkness. Every soul will know shadows. But here's the key. He says you walk through it. You don't stay there. And what looks like death is only a shadow. A shadow looks terrifying, but it cannot touch you. The light behind you proves it.
David says, "I will fear no evil," not because he is fearless, not because he is strong, but because you are with me. Notice the shift. Before this verse, David spoke about God. He makes me lie down. He restores me. He leads me. But here in the valley, the language changes. It's no longer about God, it's to God. You are with me. When life gets darkest, theology turns into intimacy. God is no longer an idea, he is a presence. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. We often imagine this as gentle guidance, but a rod was not a toy. It was a weapon, heavy, strong, used to strike predators. The staff, with its curved end, was used to pull sheep back from danger. Together, the rod and staff mean this: God protects me and God corrects me, and both are comfort. Comfort isn't always soft. It is knowing that God will fight for you and also pull you back when you wandered too far. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This isn't a polite dinner scene. In David's world, a prepared table symbolized victory. After battle, kings would celebrate with a feast, and defeated enemies had to watch. David is saying that God doesn't just bless him after the enemies are gone, God blesses him while they're still watching. He proves his faithfulness not by removing opposition, but by elevating his people in the middle of it. Your enemies don't have the power to stop God's table. They are forced to witness it. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Oil was more than a symbol. It was healing, protection, and identity. Shepherds anointed sheep's heads with oil to protect them from deadly insects. Priests anointed kings to mark them with divine calling. So when David says God anoints his head, he's declaring, God heals me, God sets me apart, God protects me. And then he says, my cup overflows. Not my cup is full, but it runs over. God does not deal in barely enough. His nature is abundance. His blessings spill over, not because we are worthy, but because he is generous beyond measure. Then David declares, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. These aren't casual companions. In the original language, the word for follow is much stronger. It means to pursue, to chase. God's goodness doesn't just trail behind you like a shadow. His mercy doesn't casually drift along. They run after you. Even when you wander, his mercy is faster. Even when you fall, his goodness won't let you go. David, a man who knew failure and guilt, still declared that God's mercy was relentless. And finally, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For a man who had spent years hiding in caves, hunted and homeless, this was more than a poetic line. It was hope. It was home. The house of the Lord isn't just a temple. It is his presence. It is belonging. It is permanence. David believed that his story didn't end in fear or running. It ended in the presence of God forever.
So what does all this mean for us? It means Psalm 23 isn't just poetry, it's survival. It isn't about death, it's about life. It isn't about weakness, it's about courage. It's not about escaping enemies, it's about triumph in their presence. Every verse is a declaration of a God who restores, protects, provides, and never leaves. Think about your valleys. They may not look like David's caves, but they're real. Maybe it's the valley of anxiety, the valley of loss, the valley of financial struggle, the valley of loneliness. Psalm 23 whispers to you, you are not staying here, you are walking through it, and you are not walking alone. The shepherd walks with you. Think about your enemies. They may not carry swords, but maybe they carry gossip, opposition, or silent doubt. Psalm 23 promises, God sets your table right in front of them. He blesses you in ways that prove his hand is on you, even when others want to see you fall. Think about your emptiness. Maybe you feel like you have nothing left to give. Psalm 23 declares, God pours oil on your head. He fills your cup until it overflows. His blessings are not limited. His strength is not running dry. And think about your future. Maybe you feel uncertain about tomorrow. Psalm 23 promises that goodness and mercy are not just near you, they are chasing you down. And your final destination is not despair. It is the presence of God. So Psalm 23 is not a lullaby. It is a battle cry. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for the warrior of faith. It is not meant to be recited quietly in fear. It is meant to be declared with confidence. The Lord is your shepherd. You lack nothing. He restores you. He leads you. He protects you. He prepares victories in front of your enemies. He fills your cup until it spills over. His goodness and mercy are chasing you even now, and his presence is your forever home. So the next time you hear Psalm 23, don't let it wash over you as just another familiar verse.
Hear it the way David spoke it. Hear it as a man in battle, a man in the valley, a man surrounded by enemies, declaring that his God was bigger than every shadow, stronger than every foe, and closer than every fear. And let it become your declaration too. Because the hidden meaning of Psalm 23 is this: when the Lord is your shepherd, the battle is already won.